If you were to look back on last year and rate your financial life out of 10, what score would you give it? Was it a good year for you, or was it a bit of a struggle? Quickly and mentally, just give it a score. Okay, with that number in mind, what would you like it to be next year? Now, I'm guessing, of course, it's probably a higher number. Well, before heading straight into this year on autopilot, taking time now to pause a moment and ask yourself, these 3 questions could be the very thing that will make next year's score a lot higher. Let's get into the 3 questions for 2024. And welcome. This is 10-Minute Money, my new series where I help you overcome the overwhelm with managing your money and start pulling the right levers, because you deserve to have the tools to enjoy the income you earn and save for the future. If you haven't subscribed or followed now, make sure you do so you don't miss an episode. Why these 3 questions for 2024? Well, in life, you're always moving. You're always heading somewhere. Now, that might be paddling somewhere fast or just drifting along. Whatever the speed you're going, you're always going somewhere. But if you don't set the course, if you aren't deliberate about the direction, you're in danger of ending up 2 or 3 years from now somewhere you never intended to be. You may have found yourself saying at some point something like, gosh, I never thought I'd be here. I thought I'd be over there by now, but somehow I'm over here and I'm not quite sure why. While we can't control everything, there is a lot we can do to set our course and be intentional about where we're heading. So these 3 questions are directional questions. They're opportunities to reflect, make some changes, and those changes can alter the course for the better. So grab yourself a pen, your notes app, write down your answers and anything that springs to mind as we go through. And of course, feel free to share your answers as well in the comments. Are you ready? Question number 1, in what area did I often feel behind last year when it came to managing my money? Now, what you're looking for here is anything that has been tripping you up and slowing you down without you realizing. And I'm going to give you a few examples now so you know what kind of thing I mean. There's always been one bill in the month I keep forgetting about that sends me into my overdraft. Here's another example. I stay on track all month with my spending until right in the last week, and then I splurge and it just keeps happening. Here's another one. I never seem to quite clear my debt. I nearly do it and then I just add a little bit more and it's never fully paid off. And what about this one? I get so close to starting that side hustle, but right at the last minute, I just decide I need to learn some more things before I get started. And now I feel behind from where I thought I would be. Now, feeling behind is actually very subjective. It doesn't mean you are actually behind, but your perception of where you're at, where you feel behind, is actually like a little light on the dashboard for where you might most benefit from making some changes. So it might feel a bit uncomfortable acknowledging those areas, the gap between where we are and where we want to be. But according to this article in Forbes, here are 4 benefits to doing it. Number 1 is to get your attention and to make you think. Number 2 is to assess the level of pain it causes you and the long-term impact of that pain. And number 3, and I love this one, is to trigger our creativity and find ways to work through it. Number 4, to drive us to change. So to recap, question number 1 is, what area did I often feel behind last year when it came to managing my money? Ready for question 2? Well, before I share it, let me tell you something quickly. This is a problem that often happens when you start taking your finances seriously and learning more about money. This is what happens. You think this. Oh my goodness, I really wish I'd learned this sooner. This is very annoying. I didn't know this before. Honestly, this happens to lots and lots of people. You see the benefits of implementing the stuff you're learning, the benefits to your bank account, the benefits to your stress levels, to your confidence, and you think, I wish I'd known this sooner when I was young. But then the second part happens. Suddenly, because you know all this stuff and you see how good it is, you want to fix everything at once. Everything you haven't been doing, you want to make up for lost time. You want to build that emergency fund. You want to have paid off debt like yesterday. You want to have already started that side hustle that's generating £2,000 per month, not to mention a diversified portfolio of investments that is to die for. And then you get completely overwhelmed and frustrated because, of course, you can't do all of that at once. Now, there's gurus online that seem to be doing it all. They hit in the 10K months with hundreds of thousands of pounds invested. And there you are, chugging along, trying to do everything with only 50 quid a month to make it happen. Now, I want you to know it's very normal to feel like that. I did at my start of my journey, and I still do often. And I hear it from our Mentora members, people I work with, thousands of people I talk to online. So what do we do about it? And don't worry, I am actually going to get to question number 2. So firstly, this is what I suggest. If you feel like that, get it all down on paper, everything you want to do. Now, I call this a deep dive board. It's very similar to like a vision board, but it's more kind of financially oriented, and it allows you to sort of break down the costs as well and all the actions to make it happen. You can do it digitally, visually, on a spreadsheet, scrapbook it, just get it all out of your head, everything you want to do. Once you've done that and you're clear on all the things you want to do to benefit your finances and your future, ask yourself this. Question number 2. What is my one big thing for this year? If there's one domino after which all the others would fall, one thing that if I did that, I would feel so proud of myself, what is that thing? Now, there's a warning here. It might not be the most glamorous or exciting thing on your list. It might not be the holiday or the dream home. But something I learned from Brian Tracy's book, Eat That Frog, is that it's so much more rewarding to do the hard things first. And you don't think it would be, but it does feel amazing when you do that. So that doesn't mean you can't do the other stuff as well at the same time, but you can't do everything at once, and you certainly can't do everything fast. So for 2024, what is your one big thing? For a lot of people, it's an emergency fund. That's a big thing. And it takes a while, but like all the fun stuff really does kind of sit on the other side of doing that. So you do need to do that first. So what's your one big thing? Write it down and feel free to share it as well. Okay, ready for question number 3? And this one packs a punch, so get ready for it. Okay, here we go. Where does how I'm handling my money now not line up with the person I want to be? Okay, so there's this famous quote from Joe Biden that says, "Don't tell me what you value, show me your budget and I'll tell you what you value." How we spend our money is 2 things. First of all, it's a great indicator of what kind of person we are now and what we value. But secondly, it's one of the easiest changes to make to move yourself in the direction of who you actually want to become. You want to be good at saving, well, start putting some money aside, even if it's just like a couple of quid. That's how it starts. It starts small, but it's an intentional shift in the direction you want to go for who you want to become. So how do you find out where you are right now and what you really value? Well, there's a simple way of doing this, but you're not going to like it probably. It's this. You can look back on your spending last month and see what's getting priority. And let me tell you something right now. This is not an excuse to be hard on yourself. That is not the point of this. So let's say, for example, you realise suddenly that you're spending loads more than you thought you were on takeaway. Well, maybe that's an indicator of a need to relax and unwind, and you aren't finding other ways to do that. That's okay. You can figure that out. So let's say you want to be someone who is good at unwinding through exercise instead. So a small budget change can help you move yourself in that direction. If you really want to take it seriously and go in on this year, and I suggest you do because it's so beneficial, what you can do is you can list a bunch of traits that you want to see in yourself. Then underneath, you can list what that might look like in real terms, including costs where necessary. Then you can match that with last month's spending. So for example, I might say, I want to be a healthy person who eats mostly home cooked meals and exercises 1 to 2 to 3 times a week perhaps. Well, that might look like spending a maximum on X on eating out. And it might look like spending more on home cooked food. And it might look like diarying in 3 workouts a week into my calendar. Now, compare that to last month. What needs to change? This is where you can really start to make this practical. And what would that look like for you? Okay, those are 3 big questions you need to ask yourself going into 2024 if you want to make this year, all 12 months of it, which is actually more like 11 now, go in the direction you actually want to go. So if you have any questions or you want to share your answers, please share them in the comments now. And if you found this helpful, make sure you do follow along to this series or subscribe so that you don't miss an episode, and send it to somebody who you think would appreciate it. And if you would like every episode to be sent to you for free, sign up to my Money Mondays email list and I will send it to you. We have got lots more on the way. I hope this helped. I'll see you next week.